Hey, all you fanboys and fangirls, this is Derek from the Geekdom Fancast coming in with you with our San Diego Comic-Con 2023 edition. Thankfully, I didn't take a month to get to it, so hopefully you're seeing or hearing this within a better timely manner than my WonderCon episode. And they're like, what WonderCon episode? Exactly. Have to admit our faults sometimes. With me, though, if you're on the YouTube channel that some of you can see, and if not, you're listening, I'm going to introduce him. Our wonderful residential burger lord, Mr. Greg Mucino, is back on the show. How are you?
Heidi ho, everybody. I am good.
Uh, I don't think there was much burgers at Comic-Con, but we will get into. There was some interesting food exploits that we'll definitely get into from what was it, preview night?
Yeah, preview night. And then, I unfortunately did not get to enjoy a good burger, but I do know on good authority, I think you had some sliders, so you did keep the burgers going. So bless your heart.
Oh my God, I almost forgot about all the things I wrote down, and I forgot about freaking the lodge. Wow. You know
How can you
what?
forget
I can't.
about good
You know
food?
what? We are going to. You're good. Okay. He's good. I'm good. Hope you all are good. Let's get into that because that happened on preview night. I went with a friend of the podcast, Mr. Travis Moody, and we went to Paramount's The Lodge, which was an offsite in downtown and in the gas lamp. And they did a fantastic job. They were easily almost my favorite thing, kind of tied to, I'll say what the other one is later, but they did an amazing job. They did, it was the whole thing with photo opportunities. They had some games, they had food, they had drinks, and of course, I'm gonna have to post this because I didn't. Of all the things I grabbed next to me that I did not grab, maybe our wonderful video editor will be able to put this up. I don't know. But I got a character search done because so if you don't know, for people that don't know, Paramount is done by Star Trek. Is one of its properties is Star Trek, and they had artists there doing caricatures of you as different. You could pick a different race, which show, and a weapon from like an accessory, and then they would do it all up in in about I think 5-10 minutes. I'm not exactly sure how long I was sitting there, but I love my picture so much. The girl that did it named Millie was fantastic, and it was the funnest thing to have. I went with Klingon, so I had the big old for it because as you can see, easy to do. But I wanted something to differentiate my features the most, so I figured Klingon. You could actually pick human. Who wants to pick human?
Well, some people like to be maybe, I can see you as a Riker. That could have happened, so there are things, that can happen that
I
way.
guess. I mean, in Vulcan, all you get is the ears and the eyebrows. That's not enough. So, anyways, so
Yeah.
that was really cool. And then they had the a thing with Yellow Jackets where they had like the you could say like the creature the
The
outline or
goddess?
whatever you want to call it from the poster. They had that and they had it behind glass and you could take a selfie with it. They had one for SpongeBob SquarePants. They had sliders for to go with Good Burger, and then they had drinks themed from was it 1923?
Yes, one of the
Yep.
Yellowstone
Yes, which was
spinoff.
really good. It was a whiskey something or other that was amazing. So
Yes.
yeah, I really enjoyed that space, and I thought they did a fantastic job.
I
So
think those things are a lot of fun because again, they get to spotlight all the different shows that are under that umbrella of what they're streaming and what they're showing to everybody. It can be a little mix mash of like really SpongeBob people are really going to be Yellow Jacket people, but you never know. There's a combination there, and I would say like I said with Yellow Jackets, really they should be the ones supplying the meat, not Good Burger. But again, Good Burger kind of lends itself as well. I still think a little, is it venison or is it something else? Would have been funny for like a Yellow Jacket theme. But it is a lot of fun because I saw the pictures because, as you mentioned, these are one of those new things that have happened in the last couple of years called offsites, where people that aren't in the Comic Con badge realm can actually show up and line up and get a reservation online and go to this too. So there's a lot of different people that you can meet inside these things. But with that being said, you may have to wait a while to get in. So there is
and they
that
ran it
wonderful
all
factor.
night. Like I had a friend, I think he went at like 10-11 o'clock at night or something.
Oh, see, that's a beautiful thing. That's
Yeah.
that's a nice considered thing because yes, sometimes they cut off early, and then basically you have to camp up overnight, as our good friend TQ has done many times, just to get a book bag.
I don't remember. I don't remember exactly how late, but remember, well, everyone else is like, we weren't there, but remember we went to dinner on Saturday night.
Yes, I remember we had dinner.
My friend didn't go to dinner with. I invited one of my friends to go to dinner with us, and he didn't go because he was going to Paramount's Lodge, and we went at like what 8, 9 o'clock at night at least.
Yeah, we walked a little bit past that time. Yeah, and there were still some people
So
out
yeah,
there.
they were running it pretty late and stuff, which is great. More opportunity for more people to get in and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyways, well, so take away my first babbling memory. What's something that stood out for you?
So for me, actually, the biggest thing that stumbled this year was the hotel. As some people know, hotels are a crucial thing for conventions, and this year was that was probably the most exciting and scary thing. Was just getting a hotel. So we had a new hotel this year, and it was a little bit away from the convention center, not Hotel Circle for people that know the area, but it's still. I had to walk, and I like walking a little bit, but walking a lot is a whole different thing. But that
Well,
was
you already
actually
walk enough all day. The last thing you want to do is walk to your hotel.
yes, exactly. But it was a good location. I liked it. Would I like to be closer? Hell yes, always. But that was the first big thing. Was like, okay, is the room going to be okay? Is the refrigerator going to work? And is there no stains where there shouldn't be? So that was actually my first thing. Was like, let me get through this, and then we'll get down to the convention center and get into the craziness. So and then from there it was like old hat, back to seeing friends, getting to my friend's booth because we have people that go every year and sell comic books there, Golden and Silver Age comics. So it's like just getting readjusted and then waiting for the bell to ring and go run around, getting the exclusives and all the crazy stuff for preview night.
I don't want to jump the lead as into our overall we'll say that for the end, but let's say initially, how did you feel like Wednesday, Thursday, getting back into it? How because this is like quote unquote the first year they're quote unquote back. So how did it feel like everything normal again? We didn't have to wear masks this year. Supposedly there was more people at full capacity this year.
For what was really, like you said, considered the first official back to normal one, it was good. Okay. It felt familiar. The biggest thing people were probably talking about was there's no carpet. And I think that's the one thing that really makes a difference right off the bat.
That freaking carpet, man.
I know, and that's going to be an issue we'll talk about too. But other than that, like you said, it did finally feel like this is a real one where there's like literally everybody's here. There's no real threat of COVID, although that's still in the air. People, it's still in the air. Get vaccinated.
I know 2 people that got it.
Yeah, there you go. Special connections. It's like either you're going to get herpes or you're going to get COVID, but neither one is something you really want to brag about. So, that was, but like you said, no longer was it, oh, I got to show you my blood and my test and everything else. It was like, scan your badge, walk in, and it was comfortable. I liked it. It was something that we needed. I definitely needed it.
Yeah. We'll get this out of the way.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things, of course, this year going into when you were looking at our schedules for what we want to do, we got the SAG/WGA strike going on.
Yes.
So we have no actors, no writers. There was panels with like costume designers and special effects people because they were trying to like salvage this however they could, and some of them just like canceled it completely. I was really bummed about the Cruel Summer one because I've been watching that and I love my girl Lexi Underwood. But for you, how did it affect, like when you were looking at the schedule, knowing that was it like certain things are like, damn, I wish there was actors for this, or were you just like, oh well, I'm still excited about this regardless?
No, I have to say it does bring down a little bit of a damper because there is that expectation of like you want everything to be the way it was before the pandemic. And before the pandemic, you had comic book writers, comic book artists, television writers, television artists, feature films. You had all this stuff. You had book writers. You had everything. So when you have one part of the group not coming because unfortunately they are being crushed by their overlords, yeah, it sucks because you would like to, like I said, oh, hey, I watched your show. It was amazing. Or get to just have that special moment with them in the room and talking about their show. So that did kind of change things in one sense of like, oh, okay, pivot. Maybe I'm not going to go to this panel because I know they're not going to be able to really tell me anything. Or maybe I am going to go to this panel because now I can finally get into the hall and not worry about getting crushed by the Walking Dead people again. So you kind of had to make adjustments, but it was in the air because the news has been talking about it. And full disclosure, I work at Sony Pictures. I am in a union. We're not striking yet. That might happen next year. So some of the stuff that's going on definitely had a factor in what I was doing. And I was bummed because it's like, yeah, I like going to the panels to see all the actors, you know.
That's the thing. Like, um, I know certain people, some of them mutual, and some of them that you don't know, and they're just like, oh, who cares? They're just Hollywood people. Who give, I don't care what they have to say, or I don't. It's not a big deal to me, or like I could never get into Hall H anyways. But if anything, I'm trying to like look at it from the big picture. Is like when you get on there and the only person talking is the showrunner, or the only person talking is the producer, you're getting less out of the panel because the actor's not talking about their experience taking the role, or they can't tell you about the scenes that are coming up that they're excited about, or they can't show you any clips or anything. I mean, there are some that do, but like there's so much less that can be shown or talked about when you only have one facet of the production company.
Right. I mean, and that's the challenge because for some people that are following this whole strike a little closer, there's this whole issue of what can you say and what can't you say, being loyal to the strike versus not being loyal to the strike. And outside of the convention, that was probably the biggest thing in the news because even though Comic-Con is way more than just that, it is the one thing that all the news media usually gets hyped about. They get hyped about the people dressed up in strange costumes. They get hyped up about what actors are going to show. So when the actors don't show, it becomes, oh, is this the end of Comic Con? Is this like, without the reality of thinking about it, they're just trying to get people watching their news segment and they go for that. Mm-hmm. So you saw a lot of people talking about how like, oh, well, this is a return to what Comic Con was always about before. Well, being someone that's been around for a while and has gone to those Comic Cons, it never stopped being that. It just, we got more layers. So the fun thing about Comic Con really is like you can go there and you're not going to get to experience everything. But if you choose to every year, you can find something new to do. It's just a matter of Sophie's choice. What do I want to do? Do I want to do this panel? Do I want to do the signing? Do I want to get this exclusive? Do I want to walk, Artist Alley? So it is one of those things where like, yeah, it was interesting to see how the presenters had to be a lot better this year. And either some of them really tried or others just said, I'm sticking to the script and this is all I can say. So it was like, wow, I never thought I would kind of miss Chris Hardwick, but it was kind of sad not to see Chris there at all,
Hey, we have to give credit to, and I know that he's been on the show, friend of the podcast many times, Damian Holbrook, took the Walking Dead panel. I want to congratulate him on them passing that off for him, at least for this year, and thinking he was worthy of it. So I'm very happy that he got to do that.
He's a delightful man who I've had the pleasure of meeting because of you. And I will say I went to a few panels this Comic-Con, and he was the moderator for them. And the one I thought he slayed the best was the Peanuts panel, which he was just, I am a straight man, but I will say he's adorable. And his sheer delight in getting an Apple Watch beta test for the Peanuts animations that they were showing just as part of the whole segment of what's going on with Apple and Peanuts was just sheer joy. It's what you want at Comic-Con. Yeah, he's a great guy, and he did a good job. There were some other people where I was like, really? You don't even need that person. You could have just run the video, Steve.
Yeah, there's one guy that was annoying, and I'll get to him in a minute. And it's not his fault necessarily, but man, I don't know what they were thinking. Anyways, I want to get out in front of it because I asked you yours. I'm not even going to try to lie. Like when I found out Hollywood was gone, I was really upset. Not in the sense of like, there's no way I'm going to have a good time. Like I tried to in the back of my head, like, well, I'm going to try to, I've been going to Comic-Con for over 25 years. I'm like, well, I had fun before. I can have fun again, but I'm just like thinking of like all the shows and movies we're not going to get to watch. And like, I'm more back then in the 90s. I was a comic kid. That's what I was. So that's what I wanted to see. But now I've grown into more of a movie TV media guy. And so when that's gone, I'm super bummed. But at the same time, like I even had one of our friends ask us like, oh, so you're not going to go? I'm like, why would I not go? I'm like, I'm still going to go. But yeah. I tempered my expectations. There's a lot of stuff that got canceled, and I was really bummed about. Heels getting canceled, the show on Stars with Stephen Amell, the wrestling show. Super bummed that got canceled. That's a great show. But I will say that I still found a way to fill my schedule. I was still constantly busy. And I still had a good time. And I was definitely after like I think when I got into like Friday, I was about halfway into Friday or at the end of Friday. I'm like, damn, I'm still completely busy. I'm like, I still had a little bit of downtime, and it was good in the sense of like I could look at my schedule and be like, okay, I can make 75% of this, like there's still stuff that overlaps, but I'm like, I can still do this, or like if I want to go to an offsite, but I want to hit this panel in 2 hours, I can do that instead of like before you'd have to be like, well, there's 3 panels in a row you want, or you can do this offsite.
Yeah,
So
no, it's
everything was more spread out
manageable.
in the sense of like I didn't have like 11 o'clock, then a 12 o'clock, then a 1 o'clock, then a 1:30 or something. So this way I was able to go and run around and do more things and see more friends, which that was wonderful. I got to see our friends more than I probably normally would have. So that was good.
Yeah. I mean, that's the nice thing about, because it's true. It's like I said, even with the changes and everything, and like you said, I love seeing the actors and everybody too. That's one of the highlights for me because I'm involved in the industry and I watch a lot of stuff like you do. But like I said, it's one of those things. Okay, oh now, well, okay, what panel am I going to choose for this one? And maybe I'll do this panel. So I still had plenty of panels, and like you said, it was like just a little bit more flexibility. Although I knew, and I thought it was kind of funny because we'll talk about it a little later. I knew that there were still going to be panels that were going to get crowded, and sometimes you weren't going to get in. But I also knew that it was like the long lines were going to be more for the activities outside than there was going to be for the actual panels in the Comic-Con. But there were some where I said, oh, no one's going to fit in that room. That cutoff line is for suckers. I'm going somewhere else.
Man, there was a couple that well, one of them I wasn't going to go to, but our friend of the podcast, Mr. Albert from the Stuff and Junk Show, he was going to go to one that was, I think, at Friday or Saturday morning, and he even got there like bright and early, and it was already packed. And then he was trying to hit the one, I think, like a couple hours later, and that one was already packed. Like it was like 2 hours before that, and I was going to meet him for it. He was like going to get in line. I was going to meet him. And he's like, yeah, it's already like, a huge line. And I'm like, dude, the panel doesn't start for like 2 hours. He's like, I know. And I'm like, so we definitely felt the effects of less for people to do or less for people to go to. So that affected trying to get into stuff. Some things, it didn't matter. There's plenty of stuff in Hall H that was completely easy to get into because of this. But
Yes.
but the thing is, anything in a small room was harder to get into because more people had time to go to it or maybe check it out, and who knows if they would have or not for whatever reason. So some things I missed that I wish I could have gone to, but
Yeah, because that was the thing too. This year, you could honestly say Hall H was probably one of the easiest rooms to get into because the stuff that was in there, some of it was interesting, but for a lot of people, they were like, oh, so and so's not going to be there. I don't care about it. And I had people telling me that too, like, why do you want to watch an episode of the show when they're not going to be there? I said, well, first of all, it's a new episode.
Who said that?
I don't know. It was overheard.
Well done.
Thank you, sir. But it's one of those things where, like, for me, I was fine with that because I'm seeing it on a big screen and I'm seeing it with a bunch of people that haven't seen the episode either. So it's like going to a movie screening, and that can be fun. And they still give away swag sometimes. So it's like you temper your expectations, but you find what you like. But it goes back to the thing too. It's like now, because you knew, well, that panel is not going to have so-and-so, you started looking at the other panels, and some people said, oh, well, Jamie Lee Curtis is going to be there, but she's going to be talking about a comic book, but I still want to get her autograph, so I'm going to go to that panel. Or for the people that don't know this, there's this thing called comic books, and people still write them and draw them. And there's a lot of people that want to go and find out what's going to happen with their next comic book for Marvel, for DC, for Image. So Robert Kirkman is one of those people who's become a geek god, and his panel was freaking overcrowded. And I was like, I wanted to go, but I said, yeah, that cutoff is already too long. I managed to get into like a screening for Crapopolis. That was a Fox new animated show that they had there, and
Dan Harmon,
they just
right?
showed it. Yeah, and it was packed to the gills, but I managed to get in. By the very slim last, like literally, I think it was like the last 3 people in that room.
How was it?
It was great. It's a funny show. I recommend it. They gave away good swag. But the thing was, of course, it was like literally, it was the third producer slash animator. It wasn't, Harmon was not there, and I think
it was the guy that goes and gets Dan Harmon coffee.
Probably, yeah.
But it's Dan Harmon. It's the guy that refills his shot glass or his flask.
let's put it this way: there was a lot of people that worked on the show there because I loved when they were doing the credits for like the background artists. You heard people breaking into applause, or someone was a script checker. I was like, yeah, this is a pretty heavy filled room, but it was still a genuine fun kind of thing because for them, those guys, that's the show where like it got renewed before it aired, and it still hasn't aired, and it's been 3 years. We've seen displays from last year's Comic-Con, and I'm all like, when is this coming out?
It's funny.
So
I just realized that for the second year in a row, I didn't go to the Crapolis offsite because they said they were going to have it again this year, and I totally forgot about it.
oh wow, I don't even know where that was. I'm sure that's the one thing too with the
I just
offsite.
remember it seeing listed. I don't know where it was either. The year before, it was down, past the water and the fountains where Nerd HQ used to be. It was down there.
Okay, yeah. So that's the one thing. Like I said, there's so many different things you could miss. So it was like, all right, well, I made it for this, so I was happy. But the funny thing is I used to be able to tell what day it was by what panel I went to, and now when some of those panels weren't there, I was like, what day is it? Is it Friday or is it Saturday? I was like, okay, let me check my calendar to remember. But the fun thing is for some people said, oh my God, why even go? No, you gotta go because that's the whole thing. It's not just that. It's like I was arguing with some people, it's like going to Coachella. When people buy tickets to Coachella, they don't always know who's going to be there. Heck, half the time they don't know anymore. They just buy the tickets. If you get into Comic-Con and it's something you want to go to, you don't stop buying the tickets because the minute you stop buying the tickets, you fall behind, my friend.
The
And no
only
one wants to
argument
fall
I will give anyone about going or not going is anyone that has to go from out of town. Like if
Yeah,
you have to fly from New York City or Florida or something, and you find out that SAG's not going to be there and the actors aren't going to be there, and that's what you care about. There's people, we've already discussed, there's people that don't care, but if
yeah.
that's what you want to see, like I want to see my TV, I want to see my movies, you don't want to pay $1,000 plus for airfare, hotel. You're like, screw it, I ain't going. I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good point because there are people that's their main interest. Although it can be the same, well, look, challenge yourself, see something else. But if you've got the big camera set up and your whole thing is about taking pictures and everything, yeah, empty seats, that's not really going to do it. And let's face it, cost of things are still high, rent is still too high, gas is too damn expensive. So you got to make sacrifices. So for those people, we miss you. Hopefully you'll come back next year. Hopefully everybody will come back next year. And it will be just, again, the whole thing of like, could you get into Hall H? Only if I had someone that knew press, if I had secret access, maybe I could get in. The joys of Comic-Con.
I want to talk about one panel I went to in the sense of something that was fully, you could say, stocked, and a nice little surprise is they had the import from India for Project K in Hall H, and I believe it was on Thursday. Yeah, I think it was on Thursday.
It was
but
on Thursday.
it's so the panel was called Project K because that's what the running title was for it. But if you Google it, it's called Kalki 2898 AD, and it's like sci-fi futuristic
Bollywood.
Yeah, but I guess just sci-fi is the best way to describe it. But they showed the trailer like twice in a row as one of those like, oh, that was so good, let's see it again. And they had actors come out. They actually had the producers and the director, and like they had like a full, and they even had one of the production guys, Zoom / Skyping in from frickin' all the way back in India. So they brought a full crew out, and they talked a lot about I believe the panel was an hour or maybe a little bit more. They talked about it at length. They showed a lot of clips. They showed a lot of scenes from a lot of the work that the crew, because apparently these guys have all been working together a lot in other projects and stuff. So they were giving like a lot of the producers or actors like their own sizzle reel. Besides just the Project K, they were like, hey, here's all the stuff this guy's done, and here's all the stuff this guy's done. So like we got like a full kind of like biography for like, or videography for like each person coming out. They'd be like, all right, here's this guy, and then they come out and they give him like a 3-minute sizzle reel or whatever before they came out. But
that's awesome.
It was really fun in the sense that like the entire front section of Hall H was all full of people that either were brought over from India or people that were probably friends and relatives of the production people and stuff. But it brought such an enthusiasm to the project instead of like, a bunch of people that are like, I don't know what this is. And, like, I mean, I won't lie. I was on the right side and my section was all like, you could say regular press people or whatever. And there was a whole bunch of stuff that would happen. And a lot of people would just like do the courtesy clap or whatever and stuff. But then to the left and in the center, everyone's like jumping up and down and throwing their phones around, filming everything and just waving their arms around. And like the enthusiasm was really fun. Like it made you, it's like, hey, if they're liking this so much, then, it makes you feel more positive about it. Now, granted, I'm sure they brought up how it's the first Bollywood film ever at Comic-Con. So I'm sure that's part of it. But I'm sure if it sucked ass, they wouldn't be so excited.
Yeah, I mean, there's a genuine enthusiasm for the people that know those people because, like you said, this is the first time they've been there, but it's an opportunity for them as they took advantage of. It's like there is movie making all over the world, and sometimes we tend to forget that. And I remember when I was growing up, I was like, it's just the U.S. I had no idea that films were being made in England and films were being made in China. And the last couple of years, I remember China all of a sudden was like, wow, they make these amazing movies in China and Japan that I never see because, well, first of all, they're not in English, but second of all, it's like there's no way to bring them over here. It wasn't until we really became a more globally connected market. It was like, oh, look, Jackie Chan, that guy's amazing in any language. I still can't understand him, but look what he can do. So like you kind of mentioned, the nice thing about this is because they weren't part of the unions that were on strike, they're outside of that system. They could bring the actors, and as our friend of the podcast, Anna, who happens to be a little bit interested in all that, was like having a fun time. I heard because she knows some of these actors, and they're there, and it's like a chance to see them in person. And if you follow that, that's the excitement. And like you said, even the people with the darkest hearts have a hard time getting away from positive energy. And when people are there and they're like, dude, they're in Hall H for the first time, and that's my people, that's my culture, boom, the excitement is there. So it's a fun thing to witness because, yeah, I would be the same thing. I actually was in Hall H and I saw them getting ready to set up that panel. I said, like, yeah, not for me. I'm good. I know I actually knew you were going to be there. So I said, I'll hear from it from Derek, but I got other things I want to do,
They did the same thing for anyone that went last year. Black Panther Wakanda Forever had a whole musical number that they did, big old dance number and everything before they came out. And these guys did the same thing. They had a whole musical dance number with guys, with instruments and everything on stage, and it was very impressive. I'm sure it's on YouTube or whatever. So yeah, I would just look up Project K, Comic-Con panel or Hall H panel, and I'm sure it's up there. But that was real, and that did that to kick off the panel. So before anyone came out, they came out and did this whole like theatrical number. That was really fun. So
nice.
For what it's worth, I think the trailer looks really good. I think the film looks really interesting and exciting. So I'm looking forward to it.
Did they say when it's going to be coming to the States, or are they still working on distribution?
I don't think it's even like ready to come out over there yet. I could be wrong. I probably should have done our research on that part. But the crazy thing is, I remember they said it's taken them like 3 years to make this movie. That's a long time.
Well, not knowing too much about the production of how Indian films are, wasn't that R&R took a few years too?
Yeah, but the thing is with that one though is that one took a while, and then they brought it over. It played over there, and then they brought it over. But it's crazy that they're bringing it to America, and it's not even. I don't even think it's out yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think that could be the new thing too, where like it's been something we've done with some of the movies here, where you're looking for global investment. So maybe it's one of those things for like, hey, we can make a presentation. Maybe someone out there is like, I want to invest in this movie.
I will totally take it in the face. It's my fault. I probably should have looked up what the release date is. So sorry, anyone listening. I dropped the ball on that one. I forget when it's coming.
How dare you? How dare you?
I know. So what's something else you went into that you liked?
Well, for the panels, I mean, I had plenty to choose from. I would say probably my favorite panel was a tie between the Star Trek panel and the What We Do in the Shadows panel.
Were those both just screenings though?
Yes, but again, they were screenings of new episodes. They gave away swag, as you are sporting. I see that. How you like that? How you like that? Yeah,
I do appreciate that, sir. Thank you. Do you want to quickly drop to people how you were able to get this for me, considering I could not get in the room?
I actually went a little early because as a veteran of the panel, sometimes the secret is you want to make sure you're in there for your panel. You go for the panel before that you don't really have that much interest in, and you sit and you wait. So they had a panel for Ghost, which I love that show, but I knew they weren't showing a new episode because nothing's been finished. They were showing the repeat, but I said, you know what? Let me get in ahead of time because I was at the What We Do in the Shadows panel last year. They showed a new episode. They had some of the talent there, and it was packed. So I said, better safe than sorry. But I really thought, Derek should still make it in. But okay, again, logistics.
So did Derek. Derek thought he would make it in.
And Greg had a seat for Derek, but as the show started, and the thing that people have to realize, and this is still the thing, and we might touch on it a little bit later, people that work there as volunteers and security, bless the heart of the volunteers, fuck the security people sometimes because they're being paid and they're still assholes. They make things difficult. And I heard this from numerous websites and complaints this year that a lot of the security people were very uninformed and very much not helpful. And that's a disappointment because you kind of really need that. So when you have that and you're trying to get into the room and you have people say, no, you can't go here, you can't go here, that can make it a difficult thing too. You were trying to get in. Was it just, there was just too many people? They just couldn't get the people in fast enough?
Well, it's just, it was getting to the point where I got in the line and it was, it was a ballroom 20 for people that know, and I was outside. So, when you're outside, you have to go through the whole up and down turnstile thing outside. Then you get in, then you have the whole long down the hallway line of inside. And it was just one of those things that, like, I think what it came down to is I was trying to get inside. And then you were like, oh, well, I got your swag ticket. I'm like, oh, well, I don't need to get inside now. But I honestly don't think I would have made it anyways, because you were saying that they were already halfway through. I think the first episode was already done. And I was still not even halfway there yet. So I don't even know if I would have made it in time. I'm still debating on, I know you said it's a popular show. I get it. But I still wonder if people were maybe trying to get in for the panel after, because it makes no sense to me how a room was that full for just to watch TV. But I don't know. Either way.
Right. Well, the thing is, like you said, what was the panel afterwards? I don't even know. Do you remember? So it could have been something that people want to, but the thing is, it is a popular show.
We knew from was it Archer?
No, Archer was later. I went to the Archer one. I don't think it was that.
Never mind then. I thought it was Archer.
But my memory's a little blurred. Even here, let me look at my schedule here. Yeah, it was Archer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was like their final panel. So.
Well, allegedly, I think they might come back next year, but it has been announced they're no longer coming back. It's the final season, so they were showing an episode too. I mean, so I guess the thing is like you said, if you can't make it in on time, they don't stop. Once they start the episode, it's not like, oh, we're going to pause it to let more people in. And if that's the only thing that's going to be going on, yeah, it makes total sense. I covered you. I said, hey, I got you the ticket, which.
Thank you.
It was one of those things. Again, here's the thing, people. Comic-Con secrets. It doesn't hurt to ask politely. The worst they can say is no. So I was able to ask someone, and they said yes. So I was happy to get Derek under my control again for favors. And I will let him know when the bodies need to be buried.
I'll make a note. It's one of those things that I forget what I was doing before, but it was one of those things, just trying to maximize my time. And I'm like, there's no actors. I got plenty of time. And then, where you're like, okay, I'm sitting, I got you a seat. And I think it was getting close to starting, or it was, I'm like, okay, I'll head there. I thought I could just walk in when it started. No.
Yeah, I got to admit the same thing for Hall H, because I knew Hall H wasn't going to have like a real long line. So I said, oh, they set up the tents, but maybe they're just going to cut that out because they don't need it. Well, it wasn't until the last day that they actually did that. So they still made you go all the way down.
It was so ridiculous. I don't see the point of the tents at all.
Well, I think, again, in a normal Comic-Con, you would need the tents because there'd be more people lined up
this year. Like the fact that they made us walk around for no reason when we could have just did a straight shot in. There was no they would still make you go through like 3 empty lanes or 4 chutes for what? So we can walk more?
You do need exercise, but the other thing too was it's kind of how they have the system set up. So, and again, remember, these people were still planning this and expecting that there might not be a strike, and if there's not a strike, you need to keep to your game plan. So they stuck to the original game plan because you had to do the security check. You had to do the the metal detector.
It was just dumb. I mean, I'm glad I only did it once. I think Albert and I went once, and that was it.
Yeah, I think this was the year where literally I went to every room in my bingo card. I did Indigo, I did Ballroom 20, I did 6 ABCDEs, and I did Hall H. and every day for the most part. Like I said, I didn't get to go to all my panels. I made a choice when I saw the cutoff line for some of them, but I always found something. And I was surprised that some things weren't as crowded, and then some things were like really packed. So that's just how it goes. But those panels were a lot of fun because, again, new episodes, seeing it with a crowd, and it's such a funny show. So that made it worth it for me because, again, some people say, oh, you can just watch it at home. I'm going to watch it at home, but there's a big screen in front of me with people, and it's a fun thing. So those are a highlight because it was cool to see the crowd reaction and laugh with people. It's just that communal thing. So that was really good for me.
I just want to interject. I will tell you that after watching the Strange New World / Lower Decks crossover episode that they played, part of me does wish I would have watched there, but I had no idea it was going to be that damn good. I didn't know it was going to be that good.
You have little faith. I mean, I'm a Lower Deck person for life, and I was just so excited about that. And I was like, when they did the episode, and I will drop a spoiler if you haven't seen the episode, stop what you're doing, go watch it, and come back. Okay. So when they did the opening sequence of Strange New Worlds, but animated, I lost my shit. It was so beautifully done. It was so good. And then when they incorporated the Lower Deck humor to it with the creatures sucking on the ship, I was like, it was so great. That was such a wonderful episode. I definitely hope that they make an effort to sell some merch with all the characters from Strange New Worlds as animated characters. And that was the thing I was going to tell you. I know you got your caricature at the lounge, the lodge. I wish they had given you a choice between looking like you or looking like a Lower Decks character, which would have been a little bit trickier to make you look like that. But they've had people that draw the Lower Deck animation style.
They might have, but I'd have to look at the list.
Okay. But yeah,
the thing is, you picked race, show, weapon. I don't remember if Lower Decks was one of the shows. I just remember it was Discovery, Picard, and I think Strange New Worlds were the three. But I could be wrong. Lower Decks might be in there.
That makes sense because anyone out there that does caricatures, it's a hard thing to do sometimes when you're committing to a certain style. You really do want to try to get the essence of the person that you're drawing. So that could be the thing. But it was a great panel. It was a lot of fun. The only thing that I read about that was kind of an issue and I kind of was bummed about was for the Star Trek panel, usually they give you a ticket if you go to a big panel and you take that to a fulfillment room and you get the swag. They made an announcement over the presentation, said, hey, look at this cool poster that we're going to be giving away at our booth on the floor. Just come and get it. So people got up right then and were leaving for it. Well, apparently that was a mistake. There wasn't any poster there. I think the posters were at the lodge, but you had to get in line to get. Well, it was a clusterfuck, and the people were very upset about that because it was like we wanted that poster. It was a cool looking.
So they had a swag for a panel, but you had to go to an offsite.
Well, no, they basically said go to the floor, the convention floor, and go to the Paramount floor one. Remember where they had the you can sit in the in Riker's not Riker's in Pike's chair.
Yeah.
So supposedly the poster was there. You just had to go up and ask for it.
Did you?
And they were. I when I went to do that, they had a sign up saying, "We don't have the poster. Don't ask us. Fuck off." Not fuck off.
You never got it?
They didn't have it. It wasn't available.
So the poster doesn't exist, or did you hear of anyone else getting it?
I didn't hear anyone else getting it, but I think it does exist. It just probably, unfortunately, didn't make its way to the people that should have got it.
Sounds like it might have been just a headache to get it, huh?
It could be. I do know some people, and again, we're coming back to the logistics part. Not everybody got their products and orders for the convention on time. I went to go to the Peanuts booth to get something, and one day they're all like, "Oh, our stuff is still stuck on the dock in the back of the convention center because they couldn't get someone. They couldn't get someone to come in." So there's little hiccups like that. So maybe that was the same thing with this because I had gone the day before for a different Star Trek panel. They had one about the animated shows, and it was not just Lower Decks. It was the original animated Star Trek episodes. They were talking about all the stuff they're doing because it's an anniversary. I think it's what's it say here? It's 50 years of Star Trek animation. Can you believe that?
Wow. No, actually I can't.
Yeah. So they were showing off little pins that they had, and they said, "Oh, you can get the pin at the lodge, or you can go to the booth on the floor." So
that was the only bad thing about when I went is I didn't get a pin because I guess preview night they didn't do the pins.
Yeah, sometimes
it didn't start till Thursday.
Yeah, and so when I went to the booth on the floor, I asked about it and they said, "Oh no, we don't have the pins here." So I was a little bummed about that. But that's how it goes sometimes, you know.
Okay. Well, I want to touch on we've been on for a while. I want to touch on my my tied with the lodge for my best offsite was the Hulu Animahem, which was behind the convention center in the Embarcadero, that whole long stretch along the water. They took up, like, it's usually Adult Swim. There was also FX was down by the Hilton again. But you go past that, and it was that whole long stretch along the back. It's like where Ballroom 20 would be and stuff, and it just went for ages. I'm not going to bother to discuss how, but there was a 3-hour plus wait on Saturday. And
Wow.
let's just say, thankfully, I didn't have to wait in it.
Yeah, because let's touch on one thing.
And it wasn't press. So that's why I'm saying I don't want to bring it up. Even my press thing didn't, like, it worked a little bit, but not as I should have jumped on it on Thursday. They had a press day on Thursday, and Derek slept down his emails and screwed up, and I did not make it on Thursday like I should have.
No, because there's one thing to say. The offsites behind the convention center are very impressive. There's a lot of pictures online. I mean, they had a whole Planet Express set up and everything. I've seen photos.
I put pictures on our IG too. Let's not forget about that.
Oh yes, yeah. Please check out his Instagram posts for the Geekdom Fancast because they're amazing. You always get stuff.
Thank you.
But I the one thing is that is some of the most brutal panels, brutal offsites to get into because there really isn't any shade.
Yes.
You can get burnt, you can get dehydrated. I'm always worried that people are just going to drop dead back there because the hours are so long for it. And that's one of the reasons why I ended up not doing it. But oh my God, I did see some of the stuff. And I think you got some stuff that you're going to show. The swag was fantastic. And I will say this right. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that was a lot of people were talking about that. And wait, there's more. If you were lucky enough, they had stuff inside the bag too, right?
Oh yeah, if you didn't wait till Sunday, you could get both.
Oh, and it's not just one, it is a set of 6 delicious pins. Look at that. That's a big thing now. Pins are a huge swag point. I will say that that's become something I've seen in the last couple of years where everybody buys pins now. Pin collecting is back.
Well, I just want to bring up how, in the sense of like, not only I want to make sure and preface that I thought the offsite was an amazing job. I don't want to gloss over that. I thought they did a fantastic job. It was pretty much just all photo opportunities, but they touched on Futurama, Bob's Burgers, The Simpsons, Family Guy, and Solar Opposites.
Yes.
And you got to go through each single section or whatever you want to call it. They had the couch for The Simpsons. Futurama, they had a thing with a tube like you're getting sucked up in the air. They had a thing, a big table like you're all sitting together. Bob's Burgers, of course, they had the bar where you could sit and act like you're eating or drinking. Just it was very well. And the thing is, they made it to where you could go at your own pace. You weren't all in a group or in a line or whatever. You could pretty much go into each section for each show, and you could spend as much time in there as you wanted. If you wanted to spend X amount of time in whatever room and then, haul ass through the other room, you could do that. Like, I saw some people, they would stay in one and they just go gloss right through the next one. Or like, it's we tried to do, all of them because we're nerdy like that. But,
yeah.
It was really good to not have, you're not waiting on anyone. You're not getting pressured by anyone. You're able to just, like, if you want to go through there in 5 minutes, or if you want to take 20 minutes, like it was a really good idea, I think, on their part.
And I'll play devil's advocate because that's a good idea. But at the same time, for the people trying to get in, they have to wait longer. Because if you're not pushing people through in kind of groups like that, you have the fire marshal limits.
The thing is like I don't know. I was wondering that too. I don't know how they gauged it because everything was very open. Like, the rooms were very large with a lot of open space. So It was never like you're like this with people like, oh my God, I can't get to this photo op because there's 20 people in front of me. It was never like that. It was always like there's 5 people here. So I don't know how they gauged how fast they let people in and stuff.
Right, because the one thing I will ask you is you didn't have to scan a badge to get in, right?
No.
So usually what they do at some of these, and again, there might be someone out there that listens that actually worked at the event and stuff, they do have people with counters that click and keep track.
Oh, no, they were, because when we left, the guy was clicking when we left.
Yeah. So that little network kind of gives them an idea of like they'll say, okay, we've got these, like you said, each section can be meandered around at your leisure, but they probably have a number of like at the most we only want 150 people in the whole thing.
But I'm
So
saying, like, I didn't see a lot of people wasting's not a good time, spending time. Like, a lot of people would just go take their photo and then they kept moving on. But like I said, it was nice not to be, you're not looking over your shoulder looking at 20 people going like
yeah,
that and stuff. Like,
they managed it really well because I'm going back a couple of years. I remember the Blade Runner experience,
oh
and
yes, still one of the
that
best.
they kind of pushed you through it.
Yes.
But it was also, again, it's how they interact with this one. Like you said, this one was really geared for photo ops, so it wasn't like there was a lot of people pretending to be characters. If you did the Anne Rice universe, which was the Interview of the Vampire and the Witches of Mayfield or something like that, which across the way, they had actors, they had people involved, so it depended how it was. So this one, like you said, was a good one because, dude, people like to take pictures. You can take plenty of pictures, and then you just walk around and got cool things. I mean, I didn't realize till afterwards. I saw the solar opposite pins. I need those because I
Pits?
love that show. Yeah, there were pins.
Pins. Oh, I think the pits.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a little tongue tied. I have been sleeping.
I just want to, bow tie it or put a bow on it in the sense to say that I thought they did a really good job. The staff that was working, they were all very friendly. They were very accommodating, trying to get people in and trying to, they knew they had a line down the freaking Embarcadero. They knew. So they were trying to and they were handing out waters constantly. They had fans on the line, literal fans, not people fan. They had giant fans trying to cool people off because it was hot as hell. So I just want to, give them their due that they tried to make it as best of a experience as they could considering the demand.
That's excellent. I mean, kudos to them for, like you said, taking the experience from being there for a couple of years, because every year it's always going to be something a little different. That at least they had the forethought to have fans and give out water, because sometimes they don't know what they're doing. It's their first time and they fail miserably. So that's great that they did it, because, like I said, a lot of people I've heard that went to that experience had a great time. That's one I actually wish I could have gone, but I missed out on it. I tend to stay inside.
With going over 20 plus years to Comic-Con, this is one of the best swag items ever. Like, this is a practical thing you can use. Now, how much can you actually stuff in this thing and how much is it going to hold? Who knows? But the point is like, this is something that like you can actually like use, like, and it's not just a poster on your wall or a pin you stick on yours. Like, this is something you can use.
Yeah, you could take that into the real world and someone else will go, oh, you went to Comic-Con. I know what you are.
Or like, I bet you money we're going to see a ton of people with these next year wearing them around.
Oh, yes, definitely. It'll become like the Dark Horse yellow bags.
Ooh, got those again this year.
Yeah, it was nice to see those back too. These cool things happen, and they get incorporated for the years to come. So yeah, it was definitely a highlight for a lot of people that went, and I do have a little FOMO because I didn't do it. And maybe next year.
It was a very long wait, so you can't be that hard on yourself.
But like I said, when you see some of the cool swag, sometimes you're really like, oh wow. And when I saw the solar opposite pins, I was like, oh, I should have got that. Daddy likes a lot.
Wait, where were the solar opposite pins?
So you know how in that show they have another show inside of it, which is the wall with everybody that's been shrunk down to like hamster size, and they live in the bedroom of the kids.
It was in the Hulu Animation?
Yes. So when you're walking out at the end, they actually had people that I guess had the swag bags with the Hulu pins for that show, and you just have to like walk up to them and say hi, or they thought maybe you were a fan and they would offer it to you.
Oh, so you had to know though.
Kind of had to know, or just dumb luck.
Because I did not know. That's my point. Yeah, I had no clue.
Yeah, I think Albert got a set, but I saw the pictures, and then the pins are of all the characters from that show. So there's an actress that I happen to like from Mad Men, Christina Hendricks.
Okay.
The redhead?
Yeah.
She does one of the voices, so her character was one of the pins. I would have.
No, but I'm saying the point is you had to know that they were giving these out.
Well, it was sheer luck.
I can tell you right now, when I walked out, there was no one handing out another thing of pins.
Yeah, so I guess they weren't around because, like, from what I heard from other people, they were, as you're leaving at the end, they were around there walking around.
Outside or inside?
Inside, I believe.
Huh? Yeah, it must have been you had to know or something, because I
Well,
didn't see any of that going on.
well, that's the one thing about the offsite. Since we're still talking about them, every day is a little bit different. And like you mentioned about preview night, if you go on preview night, you might not get something. And for some people that might know, some people go as press. They'll have a special press night, and those people get certain things that not everybody else gets sometimes too. So
Yeah.
it all comes that idea of like, ooh, where's the swag? Who gets the swag? So yeah, in this case, I guess when you were there, it just didn't. It wasn't there that time. Because like when I got when I went to the Crapopolis one, I didn't realize they were going to put a shirt in the bag. I was like, oh, I got a shirt. Okay, cool. You know,
At the
they
offsite or the panel?
at the panel
Oh,
they gave it
nice.
to us, they gave it to us there because it was a screening of a couple episodes. So basically, they gave us a snack, water, and then they put a shirt in there. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And then their whole thing was like, okay, everybody put the shirt on. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'll just hold it up. Because they always, that whole thing, like, we got to take a picture, show people we're interactive
Yeah,
of
yeah.
everything. And I'm not that committed. Yes.
All right. Well, you got any other standout highlights for people?
Let's see. Going away from the panels, because like I said, I had a fun time with that. It was great to get on the floor and see people again, artists from the year before, and find out how they're doing, if they're having success, if what projects they're working on, and just reconnecting with friends you haven't seen for a while. So I made an effort this year to go, like, I usually skip that booth because I'm too busy to reconnect. So I had a lot of fun with that, and I bought a little bit more too. I bought some more stuff for the collection of boxes that I have in the house of boxes. So that was
Awesome.
cool stuff. Yeah. And then, outside with good attitude, people were good. Cosplay was interesting. I again sadly missed out on the highlight of the life of my existence, and I didn't see April O'Neil again.
And I did
I
see
tried.
pictures actually the other day that she was there.
Yeah, she was there, and I did try. I made an effort. She sends to like to play pinball, but the pinball room is on the other side, outside the convention center by the Marriott.
It's far.
And again, you have to make your choices. So I went and I waited, and I played a little pinball. There's some really cool games, but alas, she did not make an appearance when I was there. And I said, "Gotta go. I got panels to go to. I got stuff to see." You
Yeah.
know.
That's the only
So
problem. You can just sit around and wait for someone.
yeah, and I think that I think that was one of the sad things. We're both fans of the Mayans, although I know you've not liked it recently. But there was an actress that was supposed to be there for a signing, and she was one of the few ones that was still there as of when we started. And every day I checked, and then one day I looked, it said canceled,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I would have liked to seen her." But again, we knew that was a possibility. We talked about it, and that was something you had to get for.
Hopefully something else.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I just want to talk to two quick things. One, I was briefly glazing over it. The FX Networks one again. FX always has a offsite right next to the Hilton. They had it again this year, and last year I did not make it. This year I did. And I wanted to give. I'm really excited for that show Shogun. I've been looking forward to it for a while now. I heard about it back earlier this year, and they had a you could say like a theatrical martial arts number or whatever. They had actors or
Presenting the
stunt people do some choreographed fight scene and stuff. It was small and brief, but like I just thought it was a cool, nice little taste to tell people about the show, and like I'm really looking forward to it. They had a What We Do in the Shadows one where you could sit down in a beach chair like with a beach ball like you're sunning yourself. I know
yes.
that's right. And then the always great American Horror Story, they did a thing where you went into like a medical room, and they made it seem like you're gonna get like a shot or something or whatever, or like they're gonna do some kind of experiment on you. And then when you walk out, they give you this lollipop, and yes, those are ants.
Oh, well, I'd rather have that than an anal probe from those people. And I fear about that when it's American Horror Story, that they're going to go try to do an anal probe because, yeah, that's always a scary one. So that's cool. So,
But yeah, it was good, and the all the people there again were the staff there were very nice and helpful. So I wanted to say a nice little thank you to everyone there. That was really, and it was hot out. They had umbrellas and stuff, and they were still couldn't have been more friendly and cordial to helping everyone take pictures for you and stuff. So that was very nice. And then finally, I want to talk real quick. I want to mention the comic artists. I talked about this last year and also at New York Comic Con, and now I did it again. I'm on a massive ongoing quest to get all these comic artists from the 90s, 2000s when I was growing up. And I finally saw, if you don't know him, sorry. If you do know him, you'll probably love this. Will Spartaccio, who used to do X Factor back in the day and stuff, and Wetworks, and now he's been doing covers for our Lumpia movie people on their comic books. And I hadn't seen him probably since, I don't know, 20 something years ago or whatever. Been an extremely long time, and it was wonderful to see him again. We talked for a good while. He couldn't have been more gracious and generous with his time. He was telling me all these stories about when they started Image, where they used to, he actually lived in San Diego for a while. He was talking about just some of the business times with Jim Lee, Scott Williams and stuff, how they all used to live together and start the company together. And it was just he couldn't have been nicer to walk down memory lane with some of his things of how he got his comic book artist time or whatever. And there was I was really appreciative of him doing that, because some of these guys, you come up and they're just like, sign the book, go away.
Yeah.
I got to see Arthur Adams again. He was great. And then I also got to see two guys who a lot of people probably won't know, but I want to say anyways. David Quinn and Tim Vigil, who did a book called Faust, which was out about 20 years ago. It was very, 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 very violent and bloody and gory. But Tim Vigil is an incredible artist. I still would put him in there as one of the best artists out there. He has just amazing anatomy work, and the way he does his violence and stuff is just so, like, it's not gratuitous, it's like fantastical. I love his work. And David Quinn's the writer, and the reason they were there is because they have a Kickstarter for a collected volume of Faust that's coming out in October. If you've never heard of it, if you've never seen it, if you like violent horror comic books, I would definitely check it out. I don't know if you maybe want to buy the whole collected volume, but maybe do some looking into about it and see if it's something you want to look into, because the fact that these are being put into a collected volume is kind of a rare thing. It's not they're from, the volumes are from way back in the day, so they're probably not very easy to find anymore. So that was another one. I hadn't seen them in probably 20 years, so it was great to see them again. And they had some new materials out, and I bought those and stuff, so that was nice.
That's cool. I was going to say, I believe Kickstarter had a booth on the main floor, but I don't think I actually.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
Well, I think it's a shift, because nowadays, like you talked about, there's these older comic book artists and writers who have collections of stuff that some people like us will remember from back then, and the only way to get it kind of published nowadays is to do a Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually buying a sketchbook from Arthur Adams, Art Adams.
Oh, I got the same one.
Yeah, and that's a Kickstarter one.
I'm still waiting on that, though.
Yeah, well, it's still being printed. Remember, they're showing us the little work as they do it. But it was interesting.
I'm hoping to have it in time for New York Comic Con so we can sign it.
Yes, or like for me, I'll just bring it next year at San Diego Comic Con and have them sign it. But some people are paying for it and it's already signed. So there you go. But,
I mean, I get it. If they don't go to the cons, that's the way to go. But
yeah,
I saw that too, and I'm like, I'll get them to sign it at a con. I don't need to pay for it.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole thing now too, is people want to collect older works, and if you're not working for Marvel or DC, you're limited in who's going to put it together. I know IDW has been doing some of the old Star Wars stuff that they're selling in oversized books, and they've done stuff before. So the industry again is having this kind of shift in who's going to publish, who's not going to publish, and if you want to get something done, Kickstarter is a great place to go and get it put together. So it's nice to see them on the floor. I hope they come back, and I hope there's more emphasis on bringing talent and everything to that area, so you can find out more about hey, while you're here at Comic-Con, we're going to put on a presentation for an actual campaign. Can you imagine you get to be on the floor and buy something right there or invest in it?
I realized I totally forgot to say to Arthur Adams I bought his book. I totally forgot.
I will say the one other thing on the comic book side that's kind of neat that I actually went to is I collect comic books too, or I used to. I have a huge collection, and I'm not going to tell you where it is because I don't want anyone to steal it. But I went to a panel for a website and an application called coverprice.com. And they basically are a meta database that lets you track your comics. And their whole thing is that they use real-time data so that you can actually get estimated values of how much your book is worth per se
Nice.
at any given time. And that was a fun thing for me to go to because, like I said, I got to put my collection together. That's something that you need to realize, you know. So it's nice to go to a panel and find something that was, you know, about the industry side of it or the collecting side of it. You know, I definitely had a fun time with that. And yeah, I spent a lot too. I bought some cool things.
I spent way more than I should have. I spent at our buddy Patrick Ballesteros, friend of the show. Bought more of his art. Oh my god, it took me like I think over an hour in his line. That's how popular he is now. Over an hour. I'm so happy for him. You know, congratulations, Patrick, on having, you know, your fan base gets bigger and bigger. But as a fan, damn it for having to wait.
I think you need to get into that.
I was late to the Project K panel because of his line. I'm like sitting there, I'm like watching the time, like, man, I gotta get out of here.
You need to get into the VIP level now, the special access level for the OG supporters.
Oh, of all things, I'm like showing all these things. I forgot to show. His prints are in my room. Crap, I forgot to put his stuff. But I got. He had this one called. It was the entire Comic-Con exhibit floor. And you know he's got all these Marvel characters and all these different characters in it and stuff. But it's like, you know, I think it's 11 by 17 or even maybe even bigger. It's a really big print. And it's like he does this whole, you know, thing where he gets all the little detail in it. It's all these little characters, and it's one of those ones you can look at forever of all the detail he's got in it. It was a really great piece.
I think that's a fun thing because I also know my biggest item that I bought that I was actually kind of excited about and wasn't even planning. I didn't even see it when I was looking online for like exclusives and stuff. Was a fan of Marvel, of course, and I watch Loki. And Loki had an episode where they had the frog Thor in a container. Well, they had one on site at this one place that they were selling. Yeah, and it was a couple of dollars more than you would think, and but I had to buy it. I had to have it. It looks so cool because that was one thing I will say from statue collecting everything. Sideshow was not there. They usually have a huge display.
Oh yeah, they're usually big.
And I miss that. I mean, I get it. This is the thing that's kind of changing with Comic-Con. Some of these booths, they cost money, and they're looking at the numbers and saying, hey, can't afford it this year. And we don't really need to do it because we can be online and people can do that. And they made that choice this year. I hope they come back in some form because it's still fun to see the statues in person versus like, oh, I'm watching a YouTube channel about it. Mm-hmm. But it was missed. And I was going to say, I know they made a big deal about DC being back on the floor, but I got to be honest with you, I wasn't really impressed with the DC booth. I mean, I'm glad they're there, but I was kind of like, the only one that still kind of like makes the heart swing and curse is the Marvel booth because that thing is just huge. It's always crowded.
That one's such a pain in the ass because there's always so many people that you walk by, and it's always one with the security guards like, everyone keep moving, everyone. It's like, oh, it's like even to go by that panel or that booth is annoying. It's like I try to avoid it at all costs.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and you got to be in it to win it. And I'm looking at some of the things they're trying to get. I'm just like, yeah, I can order that online eventually.
I just don't care anymore. I really don't. Like the stuff they get. Like I know a lot of the people go because they give free stuff away, and I don't care. It's not worth the headache. I can get so much more done if I don't bother with that booth.
And that's the beauty of
Comic-Con. They don't even give away free. I don't even think they give away free posters or anything anymore. They used to, and I don't think they do that anymore.
It all depends. I didn't see the swag this year. I think you're right. I think if anything they were giving away was like, you know, T-shirts or maybe pins or stuff like that. But I didn't really see anything free at that booth. I really didn't see too much free swag except I always go and get my Peanuts buttons that they have. And, you know, you have to buy something the first day, and then each day you can go and get it. So I was happy to say I was successful. I got my collection of that. We have a friend, Gil, that likes the Comic-Con badges now that they do, the little like merit badges for people that were Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. They have these badges you can get, but some of them are a little harder to get than others. Dude, he was, oh, man, I was laughing. He was doing every day trying to get this one, and it literally took him to the last day to get like almost the last one, but he got it. So I was happy for him, you know.
There's Matt Groening's friend Gil.
Yes, that one. Oh, we could go into that,
no,
but that's
we're not
another
going into
story.
That story. We don't have time, and people don't need to hear it.
No, not unless they really want.
I just need him to know Matt Groening's friend Gil. Yeah. If he ever listens to this, which he probably won't, but just in case he ever does, he knows.
So I think he feels it. But yeah, but like I said, all in all, it was a wonderful con. I had a good time. I got to hang out with you. I got to hang out with friends. You know, I got to experience some new stuff too. Food was great. Crowds are great. You know, I used the shuttle again this year, which I hadn't for a while, and that was interesting. I survived. We didn't kill anybody. I will say this, and this is a sad thing.
Shout out to Ghirardelli's this year, man. I had some nice ice cream this weekend or that weekend.
Yeah. The one thing that
Oh, and I forgot the name of the pizza place that we went to was really good. I forgot the name of it though. That's a big fault on mine. The one you didn't go to, but you need to go to.
Yes, I need to go to, but again, I am a little bit of an OAP now, and I'm like, I don't want to stand for just 2 slices.
I feel bad now because I forgot their name and I want to recommend them and I can't remember, but damn it.
Well, you can fix this in Miracle Post.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if Bobby can throw a freaking title card up or something.
Yeah. Well, you can add it to your pictures of all the stuff you got, your swag roll.
Oh yeah. Well, real quick, last thing I'll show.
Oh.
Preview night. And I didn't think I was gonna get a chance to get this. And it's one of those things when you're standing in line, you're like, that's still available? Okay, I'm gonna get it.
Now, was that one of the ones where you were supposed to get like a reservation and you just did the standby line?
The thing is, preview night, you didn't need a reservation. That was the only night that you didn't need a reservation, I think. Or maybe Sunday, I'm not sure. But the thing is, Wednesday, anyone could show up. So that's why we did it.
And that is something that I can touch on real briefly. Yes, there's still Comic-Con exclusives like for Mattel and other things, but it's no longer, I wouldn't say it's no longer a big deal, but it definitely has changed because of now how they sell everything online as well. So if that's something you like, it's still there, but it is I think it's kind of not as big of a deal anymore.
No. Everything I hear is usually between 50 and 75% of the stuff at Comic-Con you can buy either after or during Comic-Con.
Yeah.
There's very few things that you can only get there.
Yeah, but I will say where it's getting a little harder to get stuff is actually the independent creators and stuff. Like if you like vinyls, if you like T-shirts, or you like pins, those are smaller companies, and man, their stuff just the lines for those things went through the roof every day. People were like trying to get those. I'm glad to see those smaller companies getting that kind of thing, but man, it's crazy how that's the new hot item.
The thing that amazes me, and in case anyone's listening to this needs advice for Comic-Con, needs tips for Comic-Con, the thing that amazes me is both Yesterday's, which is a pin t-shirt company, and Toddland, which is a pin t-shirt company for Bob's Burgers and the such. You could buy their stuff online by a certain date, and then you could just pick it up at Comic-Con. There's no reason to wait. There's no reason to stand in a line. There's no reason to wait till the last minute till you get to Comic-Con and waste your time. You can just buy it online and pick it up. I bought my Toddland shirt. I picked it up on Sunday at like 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock, and I just got it as my last thing. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to get this shirt, and I just walked up. I think it took 10 minutes for them to look it up, hand to me. There you go. Like, there's a line. That line was like 200 people deep or whatever every single day. Don't do that. Don't waste your time. Just order in advance.
Duly noted, but again, for some people, the experience of Comic-Con is getting in a line and meeting people for the first time. And
if you really like standing in lines that much, I'm not trying to knock it, but I'm just trying to, maybe people aren't aware or maybe people don't know. You can buy this stuff online and just pick it up and save yourself a lot of time.
Yeah, I think you're hitting on the line. Sometimes people just don't aware. It's like I'll tell people, like, Comic-Con website has a schedule maker. You can put it together and find out your schedule. I liked it old school when they used to do the printout every day. You'd go and there was a little newspaper. Now they don't do that anymore.
That.
Yeah, well, now they do it digitally. So again, it's like the changes. But I'm like, I want it in my hands. I'm an old person. Give me paper.
Well, I think it sucks that they don't have the program anymore. The souvenir program, not the guide, the program.
Yeah, I guess if you really want to, you could print it out for nostalgia.
That doesn't count. It's not the same.
Yeah. Oh, did you go to the merch store this year? Did you happen to check?
Go.
I bought merch for you in the past. That's why I thought maybe you went. I will say they did a change.
They almost, I don't want to say never. 95% of the time, they never have anything I like enough that I'm going to wear it.
So I will say something about that real quick. They have a new company basically selling their merchandise. Okay. And the products that they have are pretty good. Pins, keychains, lanyards, T-shirts. What they did differently this year for people that have ever gone to buy merchandise for Comic-Con at Comic-Con is before you used to line up in a queue and then you just literally go to a cashier and tell the cashier what you wanted and they would run to a back room and get the stuff for you. And it was an endurance event. You really had to like wait in line for a long time, and it was tough. And then, of course, the thing that sucked is sometimes you got there, and by the time you got there, well, that was sold out, whether you still had it when you were there. This year, they did something different. They actually made it into the room into a store where you had displays and shirts on racks, so you could go out and you could actually just go and pick the size. So now you had to look through and find your size and everything, or ask somebody.
That
That
sounds
made it
better.
yeah, it actually was better. At first, I didn't know if it was going to be better, but I think that was a good thing. And then you lined up afterwards and you bought your stuff. So that was a good idea. Whoever did that, kudos to them. Hopefully, that'll come back next year. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to cover. I would just say,
The
again,
thing I want to touch on that real quick is I did buy a shirt recently, but what they did at WonderCon that I loved is they sold a lot of the old shirts or past designs at WonderCon, and you could just walk up and buy all these old past designs and stuff, which I did buy one, but it was, and the line was not nearly that bad because it's WonderCon. So if they do that again, maybe. But I didn't see any. Like I said, I'm very picky about which ones I'll buy, just because I don't know. Like, I guess because I go every single year, it's like, oh, another. I'm not going to buy one every single year. So it's like it has to be a design I really, really like, and I'm usually just not that impressed. No
yeah,
offense
it
to
was.
them.
There were some cool things this year, and the interesting thing was is they actually had an online presence before con, and I actually bought stuff and had it delivered to me before I showed up to Comic Con,
There
so
you go.
I could wear it when I was at Comic Con, and
There
people were
you
like,
go.
"That's a great shirt. Where did you get it?" Oh, you can go get it now. So things are evolving. Hopefully, they'll have an online store 24 365, and you can just go and buy stuff that they find. I mean, that makes more sense,
Yeah.
but it's baby steps.
Yeah.
But I would like to say it was a lot of fun. It was a good experience. I know you said it was a little hot, but the weather actually was pretty nice for Comic Con.
Well, Thursday, Friday was bad. Saturday and Sunday wasn't bad, but Thursday, Friday was bad.
And when you say it's bad because it was humid, because it wasn't like it was
Both.
90 degrees, right?
It was in the early mid 80s. That's pretty hot.
Okay, because I wasn't outside for that, so that's why
Yeah,
I was
see,
like,
that's how why you're in panel, so you don't know.
yeah,
You go
pedal.
stand outside for the the Hulu animation or the FX one, and yeah, I'll show you some heat.
Yeah, well, that was the one thing I think I told you about FX, and I wish I had someone that worked there. Was they had bucket hats the year before that they were having the crew were wearing, and I was like, I want one of those. It
I
was
didn't
like
see that. Like I
It
said,
was
this
like
year they
Rocket.
had umbrellas.
Yeah, it was like Rocket Raccoon. I said, I need that bucket hat. Give me that bucket hat. So maybe somebody one day I'll get it.
Thankfully, Sunday was actually, it sucks, of course. Sunday was like really cool. Like it was like drizzling and everything. It was cloud cover all day. I'm like, why couldn't this have been earlier in the week?
Yeah, but the funny thing about that was, can you imagine if you're the person that you just bought that poster and you don't have anything to protect it, and it's raining and you're trying to walk from one place?
Early, most people were already inside by then. It didn't
Yeah,
last long. But I'm just
there's
saying
some.
in the sense of like that was the one where anytime I went outside, I was like, oh, it's still nice.
I will say it was also weird not going to Hall H on Sunday. I felt like I wasn't going to Mass.
Yeah, we always go for the FX panels. That was weird.
Yeah, and there wasn't anything
And
because
no Funko panel this year, which was kind of a bummer. They gave us a taste with last year and then WonderCon this year, and now nope, no, now we're done with that.
well, unfortunately, Funko as a company is going through some business issues.
I know. I'm just saying they whet our appetites with like, hey, here's free Funkos, and now like, okay, that's it for enough of that.
Yeah, well, apparently they don't have the money for that. That's why.
I guess not.
Yeah, because I heard people buy
I
this.
know they're really hurting from the people spending thousands and thousands of dollars at Comic-Con. I'm sure they're really hurting.
Well, it's a tough thing because they have some kind of event that people buy tickets for, and I saw some people calling it the Fire event, comparing it to the Fire Music Festival because the food was horrible, and people were saying I spent this much money and my sandwich is like literally tomatoes. So apparently, Funko's having all kinds of issues. For every good thing, there was some bad horror stories, and I feel for the people that had them. But that's the roll the dice when you're throwing that 20 die. You got to hope you get the 20, not the one.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Anything to wrap it up?
Just that I can't wait for next year. The dates are already available, and I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully, everybody will be back, and we'll have a full Comic Con like everybody wants, with everybody there. So go unions, get your deals, make it happen. And I think that's about it.
The craziness of Hall H and people sleeping outside will return.
Yes, it will.
Will you agree? I haven't found anyone to disagree with this, Will you agree the exhibit floor was way worse this year?
So I would say for me, it wasn't. I
No?
heard some people, no. I mean, there was areas that were crowded, but I actually was able to get through the floor for the most part where I need to get to. Not a problem.
Maybe it's because of where you were. Because yeah, man, it was bad. Like there was, I got in a lot of bad spots this year. It was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like you learn the path. So sometimes I go outside of the floor and go in the hallway and then come back in. But I do know, like the main deep area is usually always around Lego and Star Wars and everything. That's where people are there because they're trying to get the free stuff. But if you stay away from that area, you can walk around Artist Alley okay. And then I went down to the other side where they have the video games.
Oh yeah, no one's ever down there.
And the funny thing was there was a good crowd down there too, but you don't, like you said, to you, no, there wasn't anyone there. Well, there's people there, you know. So it was a good time. It's so big. I will say that now you can't see it all. You have to make a list. You got to try to find.
Even with this down year, I still missed things.
Yeah. There's just too much.
I missed the only murders in the building offsite mainly because I forgot about it. I missed some panels I wanted to go to. I still keep seeing people post pictures of stuff on the exhibit floor. I'm like, where was that? I didn't see that. Where was that?
Yeah. And I think that's the fun thing. That just tells you there's always going to be stuff that you can find. Hopefully, you find the things you want. For me, next year, the only thing I hope for is I just want to see April again. I miss April. I really do. And this was the year too because it was like
Hopefully
Teenage
she'll hear this
Mutant
then.
Turtles. I hope she will. Well, there's other plans to discuss. We might find another way to meet up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and I have to mention, of course, congratulations to the Olympia movie people. They had a wonderful turnout for their Ballroom 20 panel. Great, huge crowd. And then the movie is going to be on digital and streaming in October, so people can finally see it, and they don't have to just go to a film festival or a convention to see it. People will be able to see it in the comfort of their own homes. And I hope that it spreads like wildfire and everyone catches on to what a wonderful, fun movie and a great group of people they are. So if you're seeing or listening to this and you still haven't watched the movie and you want to, I think it's October 3rd or whatever, first week of October, it will be available for the public to consume, and hopefully you all will check it out.
It's a wonderful movie. I've seen it, and I'm looking forward to see it on streaming. And I'm hoping that they'll probably get some ideas for themed viewing parties because you can get some friends that are Filipino and they can make you the wonderful Filipino food and you can find out what lumpia is and just have a great time.
Perfect.
It is something happy. I was kind of rooting that they might get bumped to Hall H, but maybe next year.
Hey, they got Lumpia 3 eventually, so we'll see. Maybe for Lumpia 3 they'll be in Hall H.
Yes.
So, all right, buddy. Where can people find you so they can see more about the tasty burgers and all your exploits?
Yes, it was fun because I actually did shout out to the Oyster. They brought back Burger Week, and I went to that this beginning of July. It was delicious. It was wonderful, and I'm still alive, so I survived. You can find me on almost social media as Greg_Mucino, Mucino. So I'm still on the Twitter, which is now X. I'm on the Threads. I'm on the Instagram. I'm on the Facebook. No TikTok. No thank you. And that's about it. Yeah. I'm not going to be dancing around for anybody. No.
I understand, sir. But, maybe someday you'll be dancing with a burger in one hand, drinking another.
Oh yeah. If that's the case, it will be an AI version of me. I will pay for AI to do that. Thank you very much.
All right. My name is Derek. I'm personally at the Geek Potato, but also look for the Geekdom Fancast on X/Twitter, Instagram under Geekdom Fancast. And I should be on Threads at some point. I keep meaning to do it, but I'm just lazy. But I will get us on Threads eventually. Huh?
You just press a button. It does it all for you.
I know. It's one of those you think about it and then watch. I'll pack up here and I'll forget to do it again. I'm not opposed to it. I just haven't got around to it. But please check out our Instagram. If anything, I've been posting a lot of pictures. I think I'm up to like 14 or 15 posts from Comic-Con, and I still have a couple more to go. So if you want to see the visual videos and stuff and pictures from Comic-Con to get some more coverage from what we've been talking about, there you go. Anyways, thank you all for joining us, and we will see you hopefully in 2024. And at that time, we'll be saving a line for you in Hall H, Ballroom 20, Indigo. We'll be saving a line for you and all those just so you can all get inside and sit down and we'll all watch panels together. All right? All right.
Yay,
thank you, everyone.
Panels.
Everyone take care. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye.